I actually have a t-shirt that says on it, "Yes, I am a rocket scientist." If I were to say my job is to look at the world around me, to find patterns that I think are meaningful patterns, and to communicate those in a way that lets other people see their meaning too, what am I? I'm a scientist. I could also be an artist. The difference between science and art, the reason why people think of scientists and artists as being these phenomenally different people, is that if you're an artist and you want to know if what you're doing has value, you go out and you ask people. You know, very cynically, I would say, if a musician wants to know if they're any good, they stand up and perform and see if people throw money. If you're a scientist, on the other hand, it doesn't matter how beautiful an idea is or anything like that. What matters is whether it actually tells you something interesting about how the world is. And so the jury process is different. The artist appeals to people, the scientist has to appeal to nature. And in making that appeal to nature, that's sort of an unforgiving thing. Because it doesn't matter how much you want something to be true, it doesn't matter how much time you put into it, it doesn't, you know, you can just really, here's this great idea. If nature says no, then nature says no. And you have to go with it. You know, maybe one in every 50 or 100,000 people out there can claim at some level to be an astrophysicist, which means that anytime I sit down on a plane next to somebody and let them know that I'm an astrophysicist, I guarantee I am the first astrophysicist that they have ever met. I'm sure that you know the Big Bang Theory, the show The Big Bang Theory. And I have to say that when I watch it, I wonder why other people find it funny. Because most of the jokes on that show are inside jokes. You know, the really good jokes are jokes that certainly most of the people out there would never actually get, because I really know people like that.
Why did the chicken cross the Mobius strip? To get to the same side. Bazinga!
But for the most part, scientists tend to be pretty reasonable people. They tend to like things that other people like. A lot of them are musicians, a lot of them are artists. You know, it's, if you can just get past the verbiage, you know, if you can get past the fact that they have to deal with the world differently than most people do, then they're people, they're passionate, they're artists.
To be a scientist, especially a PhD scientist and a research scientist, you have to think in a certain way. It's a logical, rational way. So I consider myself a very rational person, a person that analyzes a situation, makes decisions. Nothing drives me more nuts than politics and the irrationality I see on television. And it's in fact, it's the reason I finally retired from NASA at age 62, which is fairly early. I just couldn't deal with Washington. As a scientist, it was just one total irrational mess. Hubble was built in America by Americans. We never thought it would last 25 years. It was built so that it could easily last 3 or 4 years until another shuttle went up and fixed it, maintained it, you know. And we did that 5 times over 15, 16 years. It just shows the dedication of the people building the equipment. Hubble itself hasn't changed much. I mean, we put new gyros in, we put new solar panels on, and they're better technology, but what does the science is the detection systems in the instruments. And those have just increased in capability by leaps and bounds. I appreciate all astronauts. Without astronauts, Hubble would be a piece of floating space junk. I say I'm 100% certain that by the end of this century, we will have detected evidence for life in the universe. Not necessarily intelligent life, not little green men, but somewhere we're going to detect methane and oxygen in an atmosphere of a planet, which is proof that it's got photosynthesis going on, which means plant life. I won't go so far about alien life, although I'm convinced that there is. I mean, how arrogant must humans be, and there's still many of them out there, who believe we are the only life in the universe. This whole universe was created for us. One followed by 23 zero stars, and we're the best to show for it? Give me a break. We always want to make something special for us. So we went from the Earth at the center, the Sun at the center, the Sun at the center of the galaxy, the only galaxy, to a universe that's full of galaxies. What's the last thing, second from last thing we have left? We're the only solar system. And in 1960, we were the only solar system. And then Hubble came along and Kepler, and suddenly there are planets everywhere.